Responsibility is defined as having the obligation to do something as a part of one's job. Our responsibility as professional electricians and technicians is to install and maintain the complex systems that make the modern age possible. Our responsibility is to ourselves as much as it is to you, the citizens of the Commonwealth, because we live where we work. That construction project down the street and around the corner from your home is down the street and around the corner from our home. Problem is, not every contractor or construction worker thinks it their responsibility to uphold their obligation to keep you safe. And the shocking thing about it all is, that obligation is even more powerful today than it ever has been, because although you may not realize it, places that generate and distribute electricity are closer to our homes and businesses than at any other point in history.
All parts of a solar system, whether it's on your roof, whether it be in a parking lot, whether it be in a field, per the State of Massachusetts Division of Licensure, Electrical Division, it has to be installed by licensed electricians. It's the safest way, it's the best way, and it's the right way.
More and more the racking systems are becoming an integral part of the grounding, so that the racking to be laid down by electricians, it's a piece of the bonding, grounding of the system. But all in all, like any other electrical system we install, a piece of switch gear, anything, there's an inherent danger in it being hooked up improperly.
On the other side of that solar panel is the same electricity that comes out of the nuclear power plant, the gas, oil, steam, it doesn't matter. It's still the same electricity, and it's not in the power plant. Now it's on your home.
These jobs are clearly electrical related. They're energized as soon as they are introduced to light, whether it's sunlight or an artificial source. So you can't even shut them off.
Having a licensed, trained, qualified individual to do that work ensures that it's done properly and will operate safely.
I have an analogy when it comes to solar. So people don't look at solar as being dangerous, but if you sat and watched your pool electrical system be installed by people that clearly didn't know what they were doing or didn't know how to install it completely the right way, and there's a light in your pool, I want you to think how quick you'd jump in. It's almost the same. Of course, you're not going to jump into a solar field, but the electrical theory problem is the same. There could be a fault somewhere along that system. In these many cases, 30,000 panels. So they all have wiring that comes out of them. It's around a lot of sharp edges of metal, and very easy for one of those wires to get skun. If the grid, because it has to be a complete grid, they're not insulated from each other, has to be a continual grid of continuity, so if there is a fault, it goes to ground. So if it's an ungrounded system, whatever it is that comes in contact with it that is grounded will become the path of least resistance for the electricity to flow to ground. And that'll go right through your heart, and that's where you either get burnt or you die.
In this state, they want to push solar. By pushing solar, they have this funding that they can give out, and where there's money, free money that comes along with your labor, all the vouchers come in.
It went from a few companies doing it to now, a lot of electrical companies are involved in installing solar in one way, shape, or form, and it's just becoming much more prevalent.
The finance companies are offering zero down, no cost upfront installation. That same practice has led to other problems, lack of licensing, companies not abiding by Mass General laws. In Massachusetts, we have some of the most stringent laws, and they've avoided that.
There's not the proper funding in place to really let these inspectors do their job. That's right across the board. I don't care if it's sheet metal or plumbing or building. They're given a responsibility that's impossible in many ways to do their job 100% right.
It's easy for an inspector to police a legitimate company because legitimate companies are right out front. Those are the easy ones to police. It's the ones that are crooked, that are doing things illegally, that are harder to find. They're hiding under the rocks, and you got to lift the rock to find them.
I call them weekend warriors that come in. My inspectors are not on weekends, and they have a 5-day permit application that they can do the job, and then within 5 days they have to take out a permit. But when they come in the weekend, my inspectors can't even inspect, and they're done and they're out. So we don't know if they're using non-licensed people or laborers.
Temporary hiring firms have been around for an awful long time. It has creeped into the electrical business and the mechanical trades business, for one.
I'll go up against any non-union company that's doing it fair, that's doing it the right way, and I'll take a run at it. We can make it pretty close. But if someone's coming in and doing it, with labor that is going against the rules and laws of the state of Massachusetts, then it's almost impossible to take care of.
The issue is so pervasive that in some cases, workers don't even know what contractor they're working for. Case in point, in southern Massachusetts at the Swansea Mall.
That situation down in Swansea, there are tax breaks given. Massachusetts residents, in part, they funded that. They funded those tax breaks. The company A.S. Jones, which in my opinion was probably a front for the solar developer, their master license is the license that's attached to that job. The people that did it were at a temporary hiring firm in the tri-state area. They were hired, they're sent to Massachusetts. They're asked who their employer was. They didn't even know who their employer was.
IBEW inspector went on site and talked to some of the workers that were there and asked them who the electrical contractor they worked for. And they said they worked for Paul the Russian. They let me see a license, electrical license, and one of them gave him a Bank of America card.
Not only did they get hired from the tri-state area, they had to give the temporary agency back, a kickback in a sense, $2 an hour. They took all the money they made and took it back to the tri-state area. So in Massachusetts, not only did the Massachusetts residents, in part, through the tax breaks, fund it, Massachusetts electricians didn't go to work, and it's not a win-win, it's a lose-lose as far as I'm concerned.
There was a project in Sandwich, Mass, where the state inspectors went on the site and there was 29 unlicensed people performing solar work, but performing electrical work on solar jobs. We had a member here working there just to get some information on, do they have enough licenses? Do they have the right ratio between apprentices and journeymen on the project? And when that member called us up and said the guy I'm working with was a dishwasher yesterday, it really got us to the point where this is ridiculous. It's getting too out of control.
The only recourse in most cases is to file a complaint with the Division of Professional Licensure. Regardless of the location, however, the punishment for not adhering to Massachusetts general law is simply put, a slap on the wrist. As seen in these prosecutorial letters, companies are fined, but at most a couple $1,000s, and at least one incident, just 100. And to those who would say that this is a union issue, it's not.
This isn't a union and non-union issue. This is a industry-wide issue, and ultimately the consumer at the end of this who gets the job done is the one who deals with the outcome. Was it done by someone's nephew, their brother-in-law, or cousin? Or was it done by a licensed electrician like you thought you were paying into? God forbid there's a fire, and God forbid somebody gets hurt in the fire.
The chances of someone getting hurt at some point are great. Forget about the economic collateral damage, so to speak, to a local economy. You may not find that fault may not happen right away. That fault could be down the road, and it could be existent for some time before that perfect scenario happens when that person or something leans up against it. And it's happened time and time again, but with properly trained people, the chances are decreased dramatically.